Hello? This isn't City Hall. This is Good Morning Aurora. You got the wrong number. Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The time is 10:42 a.m. You are listening to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast, news, weather, and a nice good morning coming to you live from downtown Aurora, beautiful downtown Aurora. So we were on location today, checking out a wonderful, not a new business, but it's an initiative here in the city, Maddie's Mittens. Have you ever heard of Maddie's Mittens? If you have not, stay tuned later on today. We will be debuting that footage of our wonderful, fantastic, and very cool morning that we spent with some great folks, a local 501c3, doing great things here in the Aurora community. We are Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. Glad to be coming to you guys live from downtown Aurora. We're blessed, we're highly favored, and we're doing all right here in 2021. It's January. So we got some news and some updates to tell you guys about. So without further delay, let's get into what we got going on. The Aurora Township elections are coming up. Primaries are next month in February, and the elections are in April. As well as the township vote and elections coming up, we've also got the mayoral elections. Now, the mayoral elections are very important because we have three candidates. We have our incumbent mayor, Richard Irvin. We also have John Laish, who is running for mayor. And we also have Mr. Judd Lofshe as well running for mayor, who is the alderman of the 10th ward, the 10th ward. Holla. Tom Zawicki, good looking out for that information, baby. In addition to that, make sure that you know what's going on and get out and vote. And when it comes to the township, find out if you live in township, find out what township does, and come out and take part in those elections as well. Very important. We interviewed three candidates, Alex Arroyo, Sherry Spears, and Bonnie Kunkel, who are running for supervisor and trustee respectively for their positions. And we would like to know what you guys think. All right. Also coming up, very cool. The Aurora Public Library's got a great calendar of stuff going on this month and in February and March. Before we get to that, I want to read something from the news, a little bit of a breaking news item that I saw, and bring it up to you guys. The West Aurora School District okays the transfer of former school buildings to the city of Aurora. This is a piece in the Beacon, and it talks about the former Todd School building at 100 Oak Avenue. West Aurora District 129 has approved an intergovernmental agreement for the transfer of the former Mary A. Todd School and Lincoln Elementary School to the city of Aurora for future development. The West Aurora School Board this week unanimously approved a resolution between the district and city that essentially turns ownership of the properties over to the city. All right. So according to the West Aurora School District Assistant Superintendent of Operations, damn, talk about a mouthful of a title right there, Miss Angie Smith, quote, "We are giving both properties to the city, who in turn will work with the developer to convert them into housing which will benefit the community," end quote. From the district standpoint, we are excited that both properties which served our families for decades will now have new lives and be productive once again. Very cool. You can check out this article. We'll be posting that to you guys shortly so you can see it and learn about what's happening. Okay. Wednesday, January 13, 6 p.m. Citizenship and recent updates on immigration. An immigrant legal services specialist from World Relief Chicagoland will be present and talking about the process and recent updates due to COVID-19. Registration is required. Wednesday, January 20th, 6 p.m., contacting your elected officials. As a follow-up to MLK's Day of Service, former political staffer Lily Rocha will cover best practices to contact local, state, and federal representatives. Registration is required. January 21st, 7 p.m., Thursday, Civic Education Series County Boards. In partnership with the League of Women Voters for the Aurora area, this series tells you about the importance of county boards and how they impact your life. Registration is required. February and March initiatives are highlighting culture. Also, they are sponsored by the Aurora Public Library. Friday, February 12th, 10 a.m. Tai Chi for the Chinese New Year. Excuse me. The ancient Chinese practice of Tai Chi will be a program available to adults, and registration is required. Tuesday, February 16th at 7 p.m. Growing your business with LGBTQ-friendly practices. This also, registration is required, and it's part of the Fairness and Equality for a Better Aurora series in conjunction with the Aurora Human Relations Commission. Lastly, Thursday, March 18th at 7 p.m. will be Civic Education about Township Government, continuing partnership with the League of Women Voters. This series will focus on township government and its role in policy making. All right. You are listening to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. We're coming to you live from nice, beautiful downtown Aurora. Good morning, everybody out there. Look at it. Look at how nice. Look at how sunny. Well, no, it's kind of gloomy and gray, but I can see the sun shining. It's just obscured by clouds. All right. The current temperature is 36 degrees. The high temperature today will remain 36 degrees. By 3 p.m., it'll go down to 34 degrees, and it will be cloudy all day. The weekend looks to be pretty much the same. Friday, 34. Saturday, 36. Sunday, gloomy gray and 27 degrees. It looks like there will be snow next week on Thursday with a 30% chance, and on that day, a high of 36 degrees. So, before we go, I want to give some shout-outs real quick. Windy City Game Theater. Get to know about Windy City Game Theater. You will be hearing us talk about what it is, what they do, and what kind of family entertainment service they provide with video games and cool stuff for the kids. As you may recall, we had a link to their GoFundMe on our page. They did do moderately successful, so we thank everybody who did pitch in for that. Also want to give a shout out to a great networking group here in the city, Aurora Business United. I think tomorrow they got a Zoom meeting and a speaker as well. Get to know them. They're on Facebook. Check out the Facebook group. It's free to join and free to network. Also want to say thank you to our friends of Crystal House, Cottonseed Creative Exchange. Also want to say what's up to Treadwell, Double A Electric. Oh man, so many names. Yeah, you know what? Bear with me, folks, as I just take a couple of minutes to just give a couple of shout outs. Java Plus, I would be remiss. Check out our interview we did with Mr. Michael Morkert. It was great. Java Plus 1677 Montgomery Road. Chasers, also Corey Caruso, great episode that we did. Shout out to Chasers Laser Tag. They got great stuff for the kids. Mind you, safe, socially distanced, a lot of fun. You're also able to have a private party with them if you so choose. Luigi's Pizza. Shout out to Bill Poss. Great man that we just interviewed yesterday. Check out that interview. If you want to know about 40 years of Aurora history, watch the Bill Poss interview that we did just yesterday. He is the owner of Luigi's Pizza and Fun Center on Prairie. Mega shouts always go out to Deputy Mayor Chuck Nelson, his retirement and everything like that. Even though he's retired, he's still a part of the city, and we appreciate him for all of his advice and all the good looking out. So many shouts out. Where do I begin? Meaningful Letters. We took part in her campaign sponsoring and providing the anti-racist pins. We got number 9 of a limited 45 set. Much love and appreciate that. Oh, you know what? I mean, they just keep coming. The shouts out keep coming. I just want to say right now, I want to say thank you to all of our listeners, fans, and subscribers. Tracy Duran, Loca GTZ. Oh, man, so many of them. Oh, Joe DeLeo, North Aurora Police Department. Shouts go out. A Call to Shoulders, Greg Zilioli. So many of them. Oh, man. Aurora Pancake House, big shouts out. You know, you can catch me in there every now and then getting the stack. And not only that, my boy Zawicki keeps yelling at me from the other side of the office right now. I do want to say, I hope that you guys do come out and take part in everything that's going on in the city in regards to local government. Vote in township if you're a township resident, of course, and also take part in voting in the mayoral elections. 2020 is the year of engagement of all kinds, especially positive, but definitely getting to know and take part in the fabric of the city of Aurora. You got to be in it to win it, baby. And with that, I want to say one more thing. There is a great article online right now at the Chicago Tribune that talks about the shameful display at the Capitol yesterday. I encourage folks to go ahead and read that. And a new partnership with vegan food business is coming to downtown Aurora using the kitchen at Gillerson's Grubbery on the days the restaurant is closed. So much good stuff is happening here in the City of Lights, you guys. Oh, last shout out, I promise you, and I will be done. The last one. Here we go. You ready? All right. The Dunham Fund is now Dunham Foundation. We told you guys about this yesterday, but I just want to say this one more time because those people are really good people. Shout outs to our friends at the Dunham Fund Foundation. My bad. This change will allow them to better serve the nonprofit partners while continuing to honor John C. Dunham's vision of, quote, making the world a more comfortable, safer place for mankind to prosper, end quote. Check out DunhamFoundation.org. Also, subscribe to the show on YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes as well. We are proud to be the second largest city's first daily news podcast. And that's the news. Peace. Be blessed. You guys have a wonderful day. See you back here tomorrow for another great show. So, good morning.
Good morning.
This is Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. And we are very proud to have Bridget Johnson on the episode today.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. We'll be talking about Red Hive Market.
Yes.
Aurora, and just life and business in general.
Yes.
So kind of how you got started, and also things that young entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs, can take and benefit from.
Yeah.
So I just said your name, but let us know who you are and where you are from.
Okay. Well, I'm Bridget Johnson, and I'm originally from Havana, Cuba.
Cool.
And I came to the United States when I was 5. So I am a proud refugee. Those are my 2 words.
Very cool.
And went to Miami because that's where Cubans go.
Right.
And there a short time, and then came to Aurora because, like most immigrants, you go where you have family.
Right.
And that's what we did. So we lived with my uncle and my aunt on the east side.
Okay.
I went to Brady School.
Shout out to Brady.
Shout out to Brady.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mr. Brady. Mr. Brown, the principal. Yes. East Aurora 131. And then moved to Fulton Street.
Okay.
East Side girl.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Always.
Now, how old were you when you came from Cuba or Miami to
5?
About 5 years old.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything at all about Cuba?
I do. I remember going to the beach. I have some scary memories. I remember Fidel Castro's regime coming onto my grandfather's farm and taking animals. I remember that. I remember the night that my mom took my brother and I to relatives' house so she could go and get our papers, our visas to come to the United States. And, not knowing if she was going to come back and...
Right.
So.
And in the years since, have you gone back to Cuba?
I did. I went back a few years ago, and that was a very emotional trip. That was not your typical, oh my goodness, that was not your typical tourist visit that was very emotional because I hadn't been there in over 50 years. And yeah, I got to eat all my foods that I grew up with, and got to see some of the places that my mother and grandmother talked about having gone to, Havana.
Right.
So it was very wonderful. It was a great vacation.
Yeah, I did some time in the Navy and went to Cuba. We didn't go to Havana. However, all activities for sailors were relegated just to the base.
Okay.
But boy, beautiful country.
Yes.
It looked like Jurassic Park.
Yes, it did.
It was like,
yeah.
Iguanas.
Yes.
The size of pit bulls. I mean, it was absolutely amazing.
Yes, they're fed well. I'm
yes,
sure all the coconuts that fall down. I didn't see that, but I was really surprised pleasantly by how much progress was, being done there. A lot of buildings, a lot of construction.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was and then we got there, and I was so excited we went on a cruise to go explore, and then they looked at my passport and saw that I was born in Cuba, and that stopped things for about 2 hours. They detained me, and
okay.
So that was like, whoa.
Right, yeah. When you're American and get detained in another country, it's crazy.
It is crazy, and their stand was no, that I wasn't American, that I was Cuban.
Sure.
And I said, well, I'm always going to be Cuban, but I am a U.S. citizen. So yeah, that was an experience.
Growing up, what impact did your dad have in your life?
Wow. Well, my dad was a very strong Latino. And, it was his way or no way.
Right.
So that had a tremendous impact on my personality and determination. We butted heads because, my dad was old school. He was 35 when he came to the United States. And he worked very hard. He worked at Caterpillar, picked up all the overtime he could. My mom worked at that time Western Electric, did the same thing just to keep a roof over our heads and food on the table. So,
Western Electric eventually became AT&T?
Yes.
Peter Aguilera told me that story.
Really?
He did. That was a good interview.
Yeah. So, yes, that's, so that really, he and I butting heads, and his view or his picture of what my life would be like, I was like, well, that's not what I'm looking at. It's not what I'm thinking.
So, with that being said, you already had a kind of a grand design of what you wanted to do, or did it take some years for Bridget to kind of?
It took some years. I mean, I knew what I didn't want to do, and I knew I didn't want to just get married and then have my husband be my boss. So
that's what everybody seems. That was the thing.
That was the thing. When your father is, this old school Latino, and so that was very defining for me. And then I was very involved at Sacred Heart Church.
Okay.
So that was our parish. So that also defined me, and that I knew that I wanted to do something that was social work type. Nice.
Yeah.
So that's how I decided on criminal justice, and I became a probation officer.
Very cool. Now, what year was this?
That I became a probation officer? Like 87, 88.
Okay. And that was here in the city of Aurora?
Yes, I went to Aurora University.
Okay. What was it like to be a probation officer? Because, so before that, I mean, you went to Aurora University.
Yes.
You studied, you learned. But what was it like to get started as a probation officer in the 80s? What was that like?
Well, it was not as scary as it is now. I mean, it was really, it was difficult from the standpoint of, having this thought in my mind that, just do what you need to do so that you can move on with the rest of your life.
Right.
So the struggle for me came with some of my probationers that were non-compliant. that didn't do what their requirements were of probation. So to me, it was just like, this is just a snapshot. It doesn't have to define you. Just get these requirements over with, and then recreate your life.
Because from probation, you could be done and all good, or
Yes.
you could mess up and go back
Exactly.
to jail. Okay.
Exactly. And when you were a juvenile, you had opportunities to make that be all gone.
Right.
So, yeah, it was an experience, but I loved it, and I did it for 8 years, and then I worked for Mayor Pierce.
David Pierce.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, what was that like?
It was amazing. He was
Because now you've gone from the criminal justice world to
Yeah.
the world of local government.
Yes.
Okay.
And even there, you can't get the social worker out of the person. So my job there was information and complaints coordinator.
Okay.
So always trying to work with people, not create more obstacles.
Right.
Trying to eliminate obstacles. If a resident had a concern, had some issues, how can we resolve this?
Right. Now, during this time, well, before we start working for Mr. Pierce,
Yes.
the probation years, what is Aurora like?
Aurora was, when we moved to Aurora, picture a neighborhood, Fulton Street on the east side, that was not diverse. That, that being Hispanic was a novelty.
Really?
Yes. And, we're talking the 70s.
Right.
And then your uncle shows up and parks on the lawn, on the front yard. Your neighbors are like,
Oh, yeah.
whoa.
Latino stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
They've moved in.
Right. These people.
These people have moved in.
Yeah.
So that was, that was interesting, and I didn't understand why that was wrong, why that was not
Yeah.
good.
So it seems like, and you're not casting this about the city, but it seems like there was a time when Aurora was not so diverse.
Yes. Yes, that is true. There was a time when it was not that diverse. And I'm speaking from a very macro. It was my neighborhood,
Sure.
Fulton Street and State Street, and it wasn't very diverse. It was very Caucasian, and then things started to change and evolve.
And as we talk, I'm learning, and I listen to the words you use. What's the difference between Latino and Hispanic?
Well, for me, I know that there's social definition out there. For me, being Latina is really the basics of it. It is these are my roots.
Right.
This is my culture. This is my heritage. Hispanic is not, to me, not as...
It's a broader term,
It-
not as general, not as specific. Okay.
Yes, that's how I feel.
Okay.
And again, I'm sure that Merriam-Webster has their own definition. So
Right.
I'm giving you Bridget's
Right.
definition of it.
All right, I got it. Now, over the years, Aurora has gone through its phases, and we are going to come back and talk about the David Pierce era.
Sure.
But in the last 5 or 10 years, what's some of the biggest changes that you've seen here in the city?
First of all, our current mayor, I think, is huge for Aurora. I think that it was due for a long, long time.
Yeah.
That you have the second largest city, in the state of Illinois, and a very diverse city, and yet who represents us doesn't look like us. So
Right.
I'm huge about that. So I think that, to me, having Mayor Irvin as, the mayor, that's huge for me.
Right. Yeah, I remember when he became mayor, and I remember going to the inaugural, or excuse me, the mayoral
Sure.
debates and all that.
Uh-huh.
I remember thinking like, damn, Aurora's never had a black mayor
Yeah.
before. And the guy who won in Georgia recently, Raphael Warnock, he's the first black senator, you know, and it's well, I guess it goes to show you, for those people who say, look how far we've come,
We
you haven't
haven't.
come that far at
We
all. What the
haven't.
hell is far? You know? Yeah.
We haven't.
Right.
So, right. And Reverend Warnock's grandmother picked cotton,
Right.
and his grandmother got to vote for him.
Right.
His mother got to vote for him. So, you know, yeah, what's going on?
Right. When it comes to the Latino community in Aurora, how would you rate and assess it?
Wow, you might get me in trouble.
Oh, and you know what? But again, this is not a question like, oh, they suck or they're
No.
bad. Just an old, yeah.
No. I think we could learn so much from our black brothers and sisters. I think we could learn so much by being more united, by you know, in the Latino community, you have Puerto Ricans, you have Cubans, you have Mexicans, you have Dominicanos, you have, you know, we're Latinos.
Right.
We're Latinos. But we get into these subgroups that trouble me, the social worker, me.
Right. That's what I'm asking.
Yes, that troubles me. Whereas I don't see that in the African American community. And I think that's one lesson that we could learn.
Yeah, I helped out in the census. And while I was always trying to help young African Americans and young Latinos to vote, period,
Yes.
and stop,
Yeah.
I did find that it was particularly hard to get the Latino community to come out to take part in the census specifically. But I do see the Latino community as strong and thriving.
Yes.
So
I think some of that is fear, because there is such an immigration fear right now. You know, deportation, ICE.
right.
So there are other factors that could be keeping Latinos, that are keeping Latinos from registering in the census, from
Right.
you know, getting out, and you know, it's scary.
Yeah.
It's got to be scary.
It's like,
Curtis.
you know, I show up at your door, I'm a nice guy,
Yeah.
I get you to sign for the census, and the next
Yes.
thing you know,
Yes.
la migra, here they come.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Here you go, and then your whole family is uprooted. So, you know, so there, you know, the goal isn't, and this is the word of the 70s and 80s, assimilation.
Right.
You know,
Good.
the goal is not to assimilate. The goal is to just you know, kind of like get into the walls. Just look like the walls. You don't want to look different.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. Just blend in,
Just
mind your
blend
business.
in.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So you get the job with the city working for Mayor Pierce,
Yes.
and life is great.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Life was great.
Yeah. So
Life
you get
was
the
great.
job.
Yeah.
What's your day-to-day like at this point in time?
I was living at home,
Okay.
right on Benton Street, right there.
Oh yeah, right here.
Right there. I was living on Benton Street and working at the city, and you know, doing something that I love to do, and opened up Aurora's first community resource center when those were really popular.
Really?
And that meant that I could work with all the neighborhood groups, and it was just awesome. I got to be a social worker, you know, and I got to work, you know, in government.
Yeah.
And life was good.
Now, where was this community center at?
It was on Farnsworth, so it was the Northeast Community Resource Center,
Okay.
where, let me think of, geez, what was out there? Oh, I think that El Mercado, I think there's a Mexican grocery store out there now. in the strip mall. So I was in a strip mall. These were all in strip malls.
Right.
The first one was at Aurora Central.
Okay.
On Root Street.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a good time. It was it was fun. You got to do what you like to do, and
yeah. Now, what were the needs of the Aurora community at this time?
flooding was a huge issue. There were a lot of flooding issues, especially on the northeast side.
Right.
There were flooding issues and red tape, and the neighborhood's community residents feeling that that there were stumbling blocks put in front of them to prevent them from accomplishing some things.
People still have that same thought today.
People do have, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah.
Yes. So those were issues. I had an opportunity to do a lot of translating, because it was a novelty to have bilingual staff.
Right.
Back then.
Yeah.
So those were just some of the few ways that I really felt that I was making an impact.
Now, at this point in time in downtown Aurora, had the mall come in yet? The Fox Valley Mall?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right.
Not that old. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The Fox Valley Mall. And that's how I'll forever remember it is Fox Valley Mall.
Okay.
I don't care what they change it to.
Right. Oh, it'll always be known. Kind of like Sears Tower and Willis, whatever.
Yes.
The reason why I asked that is because I've been discovering something in my conversations with people while doing this, that the downtown area and its kind of shift, I've kind of started to get a little bit of a pinpoint of when that was, and I've heard people say that this was before the mall occurred, or this was the mall had just opened and businesses started going away from downtown, kind of thing. So I didn't know.
When I was younger, things like Carson's, which was downtown, where Wabanzi is now, the first Wabanzi.
Right.
Yes, that closed because of the mall, because Carson's went out to Fox Valley Mall, which is, really interesting because I see what you're doing, Curtis. You're moving me into this whole small business shopping, road, and yes, so where once we had downtowns thriving with small businesses, the malls came in, and then it was not thriving.
Right. You see what I'm doing?
I see what you're doing. You are sneaky.
But it's on camera, so it's not that sneaky.
It's not. Yes.
But there is yes, of course it is. I'm trying to make an arc with that sort of thing. So now it's the Pierce administration in Aurora.
Yes.
Aurora is what it is at this point in time. What year are we talking? What year is this?
Oh boy, it's early 90s.
Okay.
Kind of like the early 90s.
Okay. Business is going good now for Bridget, and Bridget's life specifically. What's your outlook at this point in time? How are you feeling? You're translating for folks and you're helping people out.
Yes, and I'm seeing my mom and dad in all of these people, and I see moms and dads coming in with their 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, and 8-year-olds to translate for them.
Wow.
And there's Bridget, little Bridget, young Bridget, because I did that for my mom and dad when I was little. I didn't have my Saturday morning cartoons because I had to go with my mom and dad to the bank to translate for them, and that was a tremendous responsibility to put on a 7-year-old, 8-year-old. So it's very emotional. I see these little kids coming in with their parents, and I'm like, no, let's not do that.
I see it all the time too. Mom, dad, grown adults, a 9-year-old who you're talking to. Yeah. Responsible
for some really serious stuff, bank accounts, and
What is it that the public doesn't understand about the refugee story?
The public doesn't understand how difficult it is to become one of them.
Right. Right. I think that when I have seen, or from what I've seen, the citizenship issues and story, so with the fees as well, for DACA and things like that, and will it be reinstated? The limbo.
Yeah.
I find that really disheartening. I've learned a lot over the summertime, especially talking to folks.
Yes.
Tell me about Red Hive Market.
Red Hive Market is my happy place. It is a small, charming, little home decor boutique shop in downtown Batavia.
Okay.
It smells good. It looks cute and charming. And those are my words, but those are also my customers' words.
Right.
And it's a community. We have amazing artisans that are part of Red Hive Market. We're a family, and my family next door, Limestone Coffee, they're my family too. So we're just we're just a little family.
Now, when did Red Hive Market start?
November 30th of 2019.
Got it. Dang. So
Could
awesome.
never forget it. Number one, it was our grand opening, and number two, 4 months later, COVID hit us,
Right.
and we closed.
Wow.
And I don't know if I can say or not, but that was scary shit.
Yeah. Oh,
that was scary.
Mm-hmm.
That was scary. But all I could think of was, there is no way in hell I am closing this boutique.
That's right. That's
no
right.
way in hell.
Now, where'd you come up with the name Red Hive Market?
Red is my favorite color.
Okay.
Hive, I love bees. I think they're such an important part of life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we need those little pollinators. And so I always envisioned that our boutique would be a thriving, busy, lots of activity, be it creative juices flowing, or the buzz of customers in our boutique. And then Market, I always knew that it would be a collaborative endeavor.
Right.
That there would be other artisans that would be a part of this family.
Right.
And so Market is just, that's how I came up with the name.
Red Hive Market.
Red Hive Market.
Yeah. Now, when I heard that name, when you told me when you hear it, it does. It gives the impression of a busy, buzzy, creative Red Hive. You know, like, yes, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Now, what's it like being in business? What do you like about being a businesswoman?
Oh, what I like about being a businesswoman is that they're my decisions, and I get to incorporate not just fiscal responsibility,
Right.
but I get to incorporate being a change agent and being part of the community, having a partnership with the Batavia Interfaith Food Pantry, other nonprofit organizations. I get to be a part of that. I choose to do that, and I don't have to take it up the chain of command.
Right. Hey, boss, can
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, boss. You know, Louise White School PTO wants to know if we can donate something to their fundraiser. I don't have to ask anybody. I just say yes. And so my passions as a social worker, I get to do that stuff.
In essence, the social work never stops.
Never. It never.
I see what you're doing there.
Okay, Curtis.
Yeah.
Never.
It never
doesn't
stops.
stop. It doesn't stop. I can offer free workshops to Mutual Ground parents and their kids. I can do that. And I don't have to ask anybody about what do we do about the costs. I don't have to, I just do it.
You know, that's something I've noticed in the last, well, especially heightened since COVID. I've noticed that there's two kinds of businesses. There's people who, you know, you're at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
8 to 5, we're done.
Yeah.
Or we are a coffee shop, and on Saturday, toy drive for the kids,
Yes.
hosted by whoever.
Yes.
What does it cost you just to have them
Yes.
use your parking lot?
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't. We did a drive for girls, teens, and it was sanitary napkins and other essentials. And I didn't have to ask anybody if we
Right.
could do it. We just did it, and we collected so many things, and so many community members were involved in it. And Aurora residents came out and donated, and it was a wonderful thing. And I had that authority. I could just, I could just say to my husband that night, by the way, this is what we're doing.
Right.
So there is that sense of, singularness
Yeah.
that comes with being able to do that. And I just hope that other people who have that power of singularness will direct it to helping other agencies and other nonprofits and other people.
Now, with the exception of the coffee store next door and everything, who else and what other businesses do you come in contact with and collaborate with?
Well, we have a wonderful other coffee shop downstairs called Gun Barrel Coffee. So shout out to you, Sal. And Sal is a veteran, and a portion of his sales go to veterans and community organizations.
Very cool. Before I get to that, what are the activities of Red Hive now? Is the store open, or is everything online?
We're open for in-person shopping.
Okay.
And my goal is come May to be able to do workshops again, because we do workshops. We have a Galentine's event coming up on February 13th.
Galentine's?
Galentine's.
Gals?
Yes.
Galentine's? I knew it.
Parks and Recreation.
Oh! That's my show. I like that.
Yeah, so we have that coming up on the 13th.
Okay.
And it's limited capacity, 10 only. 10.
Right.
But yeah, so that's going to be super fun, of course. And we're just easing back into 2021.
Right.
And we're going to have more events, and we're going to start up workshops again, and we're going to stay healthy and all of those necessary things.
Now, downtown Batavia?
Yes.
Is this the Water Street thing? What is it called?
So there's we're on Wilson Street, but
Okay.
yes, Water Street is a artist.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Okay, I was unsure if it was a mall or what it was. Okay.
It's a collective artisan community at Water Street Studios.
But you guys are on Wilson Street. In
We're on
downtown
Wilson
Batavia.
Street. Yes.
You have social media and the website?
We are. We have a website.
Okay.
We have an online shop. Website is www.redhivemarket.com.
Okay.
We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And we always look for more likes and follows.
Okay.
And if you are an artisan and you're interested in starting up your own business, please contact me, because I want to have the most amazing artisans at Red Hive Market. I know my friend Yvonne at the Cottonseed wants
Shout
the
out.
best.
Yeah.
Yvonne. But we can share all of those amazing energies. Yvonne can take some, I can have some. And that's another amazing thing of being a small business. You depend on each other. And Yvonne and I,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like when I'm off on a day, I'll go down to the cottonseed market, and I'm just like, Yvonne, I need you to hear me out. I need somebody to vent to, and she does the same for me. So
I'll tell you a story real quick.
about Yvonne.
Yeah, Yvonne is the person I was talking to the day before I started our show. I had been ranting to Yvonne and just, in the store and talking to her for the longest time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that.
Oh, yeah.
No, she just has that personality that you can just, all of a sudden, before you know it, you've given her your social security number, access to your bank accounts. She just is that friendly. You feel comfortable sharing.
Oh, yeah.
So she and I, we depend on each other.
What does America mean to you?
Boy, so several times during this podcast, you have brought me to tears, literally. So, boy, America is the land of opportunity, but it is not offered freely. You have to really, really work for it and find loopholes. And you have to maneuver your way around obstacles.
You do.
You have to maneuver around obstacles because they are there.
Mm-hmm.
Obstacles are there.
Right.
I heard somebody say that they were told, people just have to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Well, what if they don't have bootstraps? What do you do then?
Right.
And I think that's where we as a community have to help each other out and share posts and refer. We have to do that because other people aren't doing it for us.
Right. Yeah, they definitely are not, nor can we expect them to.
So you having me on here, giving me a voice like you said when I came in, that's huge. That's a power you have, Curtis, and you're sharing it. And thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate people, and I'm just trying to give back. Now, Aurora has undergone many changes, and we've been through a lot as a city.
Yeah.
We've been through a lot as a community.
Yes.
What do you feel are some of Aurora's biggest strengths?
I think some of the biggest strengths of Aurora are the people that are in Aurora,
right.
The residents. Those are the biggest strengths.
Right.
The diversity. We are not vanilla. We are different foods.
Mm-hmm.
We are different faiths.
Right.
We don't look the same. And that is a strength. We don't all think the same, thank God.
Right.
We all have different opinions, different ways of reaching. We're not a melting pot, and that was another term when I was going to school, that we are a melting pot. I don't want to be a melting pot. Melting pot to me is like we meld into one. I want to stay individual.
Mm-hmm.
But share our strengths.
Right. Because in the pot, you cook things in a pot.
You cook things.
You put ingredients in the pot, and then it changes, and it's no longer just an onion. It's, whatever.
Yes.
Soup. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to stay. We need to stay individual. We need to bring our individual strengths and not just blend it all together. Yeah, and I'm confident, like everything else, there are people that would disagree with me. We need to be a melting pot.
Right. Here's a question I got. You're one of a few social workers that I've talked to on the show. Is there a place for social work in law enforcement?
Yes.
Okay.
There should be. There should be.
Yeah.
There should be. In fact, when I was at Aurora University, there were social workers that were going into police departments.
Right.
That were going into police departments. And at that time, I think that was considered, just groundbreaking.
Right.
And I've gotten away from, what's going on in law enforcement from the aspect of organizational. So I don't know, are there still social workers in police departments? If they're not, there should be.
There's a program now that the city has been doing where they've been pairing up some social workers with a couple of cops to go on, certainly not to a shooting.
Sure.
But to your random domestic incident.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's critical because that can be the difference between intervention and rejection. I mean, that can be the difference. You're intervening in someone's life as opposed to rejecting what's going on in their lives, and the whole thing escalates.
You're right.
Into a mess.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you're right. You're right. As a businesswoman, are there any skills that you use from your time as a social worker in your...
All the time. Talking to people. I love to talk to people. I love to talk to our customers that come in, and that's relationship building. And it is my most favorite thing to do at Red Hive Market, talk. And we talk about paint because we have a makery hub where we have paint products and we have other products for DIYers.
Right.
So I love to talk to them about that. I love to talk to them about how are you doing with COVID? What are you looking for? What kind of home decor are you looking? We just chat.
Yeah.
So if you don't have 30 minutes to talk to me when you come to Red Hive Market, let's reschedule.
Hit the online store, right?
Yes.
So before the show ends, I want to ask you, if you were mayor of the city for a day, what's the first thing you'd do?
Of which city? Aurora?
Yep.
Wow.
What's the day one thing you'd do?
Wow. I would really say that what I would do is just walk around and just hang out, if we weren't in COVID. So there's a lot of little things. If we weren't in COVID, wouldn't that be so cool that you are the mayor of Aurora and you could pop into a restaurant and just hang out, just have coffee, or you could go to the Cottonseed and hang out in the back there with Yvonne and just ask her about how's it going. If I was mayor, I would so do that.
Yeah.
I would so do that. If I was president, I would so pick a random town and just pop in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oswego.
Manuka.
Yeah. Yep.
Morris.
Yeah, seriously. Elburn.
Elburn.
I need a town with a population of 200 people.
Yes. Or Red Hive Market at 6 West Wilson Street in Batavia. I'm going to go, if I'm president, Joe Biden, come down to Red Hive Market. Seriously, come on down.
I see that sometimes. You see the people go out, presidents and elected officials, they take a selfie somewhere. I think that's cool.
President Obama did that.
Yeah, he did that, At a few places,
At a few places, he did that. And he would just pop in. I mean, how do you pop in with all the Secret Service? But he would. He would just pop in.
So the pop-in was planned.
Yes, the pop-in was planned. Yes, because you had to plan for it. You know, because if I was Michelle, I'd be like, you're doing what? No, you need to take some people with you.
Right.
But he did that. That was so endearing to me. Like, why wouldn't you? If you have all of this authority and power, like, share some of that light.
It shines off on people.
It
shines off on people.
Yes,
it makes them feel better.
It does make them feel better. Like, you picked this place. You just came to visit. You have so much stuff you have to do. Like, you're pretty important, and you just popped in. You know, I think that just, you know, you just feel special, and we all need to feel special.
What's advice that you would have to any other young women of color or any young women trying to start a business?
Oh my gosh, don't quit. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. If they tell you you can't do it, you do it 100 times better.
Right.
You do not stop. You do not stop. You don't let COVID stop you. You don't let some nasty, you know, whatever, whoever stop you. You don't. You just keep on doing it and be true to yourself.
Right. The show ends on a positive note.
Yay.
What is your message to the people of Aurora today?
I love Aurora. Aurora took me and my family in when we came from another country. And Aurora continues to shine. Aurora continues to come together. And I am proud to have my roots in Aurora. So I am proud of Aurora. I have customers come in and say, oh, you know, I'll say, well, where are you from? Well, I'm from Aurora. You probably don't know. Well, where in Aurora are you from? This just happened last week. Well, I'm from over by Holy Angels. Well, I know Holy Angels. Yeah. Or I'm from the former St. Nicholas area. I said, well, yes. You know, I know that area, and you know that whole rivalry of East versus West. I'm familiar with it. And then you throw in Aurora Central Catholic, where I went to school, and so yeah, I'm from Aurora.
Very cool. Yeah, the city has a lot going for it.
A lot going for it, and we can't stop because we're not there yet.
With that, my friends,
this is so much fun.
Yeah, it is. It was a great episode. This was a great interview.
Oh,
really good interview.
Thank you.
I enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you.
To all of our listeners, all of our fans, our subscribers, we want to say thank you very much. We hope that you guys have a blessed, safe, and positive day. Don't forget to check out Red Hive Market at 6 West Wilson.
That's it. 6 West Wilson Street.
6 West Wilson Street
Yes.
in downtown Batavia.
Yes.
Also online at redhivemarket.com,
Yes.
Facebook and Instagram as well.
Yes.
All right. And on behalf of the second largest city's first LA News podcast, you guys take care. Have a great day. And we'll see you all back here tomorrow with another wonderful episode. Peace.
Peace.